So the next report out is the investigation process, and it's Beth Seberg and Lydia Rivera.
Good evening. So we started off the conversation speaking about whether or not if legislation should be more specific to what the Police Accountability Board has to investigate or should investigate. The majority of the people believe that everything should be investigated that comes through. We also need proper resources to be able to investigate and review those complaints. Also, specificity creates loopholes, so it went back to just investigating everything. Officers' history should also be made public, similar to a rap sheet. Change to local contracts, the police contracts should also, so records could be kept and not thrown away after a year. And the New York civilian right law needs to change as well, and that would be under Article 58. And then also budgeting for investigators. That was also a concern. How will that be funded? But it was also stated that it would be cheaper to investigate through the PAB rather than the PSS. Oh, and so the PSS should be eliminated as well.
Okay. There was a question asked about whether investigators would belong to the PAB or whether those same investigators would be investigating for the police themselves and other purposes. There were questions about whether files could be, complaints could be filed in multiple places, and people really like the fact that that is the case as the legislation is written. And a question was asked about whether PAB can begin an investigation when PSS has not yet begun one. And folks like that they don't have to wait for PSS to begin an investigation. There were also questions about whether an investigation can be done when a complaint has not formally been filed. So if the news media, for instance, gets something on tape, or folks in the community get something on tape, can that be used to begin an investigation even if a person directly involved does not file a complaint? There was strong feeling that no officers under investigation should ever serve on PSS. There was some really hearty discussion about whether retired police officers could serve as investigators, with some strong feeling both ways, but the majority of the folks seem to feel that if retired police officers are serving as investigators, then we're back to policing themselves. But folks generally felt that private eyes could serve as investigators, folks who've worked in the private sector. There was a strong feeling that there are too few members on a board, that 9 members would only allow for 3 panels operating at a time to hear cases, and that it's an awful lot of work for unpaid Police Accountability Board members, a lot of work to ask of them. There were some questions about how many complaints a year currently are being filed, and we all rather agreed that even knowing that number, that what the number of complaints being filed in this new, under this new legislation could be quite different than the number that are currently being filed. There was anticipation that there might be a spike initially in the number of complaints being filed, but then eventually, hopefully, as the PAB is working and that really having its teeth in operation, that hopefully over time the need would diminish. There was a question about whether 2 investigators are enough, and then some questions about what would happen with the final results. Would they be publicized? If they're put on a website, then who's managing the website? And strong support for the chief not having the final say, And then there was a question about how far back, how old a case will be able to be, complaint will be able to be brought before the PAB when it's initially getting started. Okay? Thank you all.